ArbiterOnline.com brings you Out of the Blue with Sheree Whiteley, Drew Mays, Jessica Christensen, Jake Garson, and Dustin LaPrey on sports. You're watching Out of the Blue, the Arbiter's special Fiesta Bowl coverage.
Hello everyone and welcome to Out of the Blue. I'm Drew Mays.
And I'm Jessica Christensen. Former Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein is dead. Officials announced Hussein was hanged at dawn Saturday for ordering the murders of 148 of his countrymen 24 years ago. In his last speech, Hussein asked the people of Iraq to forgive one another and warned of the danger of the Persians. U.S. and Iraqi forces are bracing for an expected surge in violence by Saddam's supporters who believe he was ousted and killed by an American-controlled government.
12 of the nation's top high school bands competed in the 29th annual Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arizona Fiesta Bowl National Band Championship. Sheree Whiteley was there for the event and has the story.
The bands from high schools in Foothill, California, Webster, New York, Centennial, Tennessee, Casa Grande, Arizona, Durant, Florida, Lakewood Ranch, Florida, Columbus North, Indiana, and McQueen, Nevada made the semifinals in the competition Friday afternoon, making all of them contenders for the Grand Masters Trophy, which represents the highest achievement in marching band excellence. At the end of the day, it was Columbus North, Indiana that took the trophy home.
Some Boise State football players aided in the efforts to teach approximately 100 local kids the importance of education and football skills at the Youth Football Clinic today. Sheree Whiteley interviewed the clinic head executive director of Future for Kids, Rod Smith.
You know, we only have one day to try to make a difference with these kids, and so we have a lot of lecture sessions during the day, and we try to talk to them about education, how important education is. You know, you always ask the kids how many in here want to play pro football, and every kid raises their hand. And what we try to indicate to them is just the sacrifice and the dedication and the discipline, along with the work ethic that's needed, and try to enforce those things, but try to make sure that they understand that no matter who they are, how good they are, that sports is going to end one day, and the education is the key to the rest of their life, and that's really a major focus that we do at these programs.
So Sheree Whiteley signing off from the Glendale Youth Sports Complex.
History was made tonight in Tempe, Arizona in the 18th annual Insight Bowl. Down by 31, the Texas Tech Red Raiders turned their misfortunes around in the second half to defeat the Minnesota Golden Gophers 44-41 in overtime in the greatest comeback in the history of NCAA bowl games.
Minnesota capitalized early on the turnovers of Texas Tech, including this 2-yard play-action pass. Graham Harrell in the corner to Jack Simmons for the touchdown, an early Minnesota lead. Former Bronco Duran Cooley came out big for the Golden Gophers, including this goal line tackle. Cooley was with the Broncos for 2 years before transferring to the University of Minnesota. Despite being down 38-7 at one point in the third quarter, the Texas Tech Raiders rallied, and that rally ended with Alex Terlika hitting a game-tying 52-yard field goal as time expired to send the game into overtime. Joe Monroe of the Golden Gophers nails a 32-yarder to put Minnesota back on top, 41-38. With the game on the line, Texas Tech's Shannon Woods finds his way into the end zone for the third time of the game in the 44-41 Texas Tech overtime victory.
You know, it wasn't anything. It's just no one lost hope. No one, you know, we weren't going to just lay down, and so I think everybody individually made a decision that to just keep fighting to the end, and then as a team we did the same thing, and it, you know, paid off in the end.
In the halftime, coach said, hey, we're known to come back. We're an offense that can score fast, make a few stops, and that's what we did. You know, we never gave up and made some big plays and got a win.
Jake Garson and Dustin LaPrey were out on the interview trail once again. What went down today, guys?
Today, the Oklahoma and Boise State football teams took part in their second press conference in 2 days. Today it was the Oklahoma defense and the Boise State offense, talking a little bit about what we can expect Monday's big game.
Yeah, today we heard from Jared Zabransky and Ian Johnson. And Ian Johnson probably had the best interview of the day. Had tons of people sitting around. They all flocked to him right when he came in.
He did. He's so electric that, you know, people naturally draw to him.
Yeah.
And it's something that he's been getting used to over the course of the football season with all the national attention from ESPN and Sports Illustrated and Sporting News.
And plus he was just really excited. You know, he's that charismatic figure. We're going to check out some footage of him right now.
Johnson talked with reporters about playing as the underdog.
I definitely we definitely know going into this game, everyone says we're the underdog. So, I mean, we definitely can be taken as that. We're the lovable underdog that just blue collar with everything. I mean, we're going to go out there and we're going to play our blue collar mentality, and we're going to go out there and give it everything we got. And we're going to go out there to win a game. But when we get done with that, we want everyone just to be able to say, hey, that's a good team. Whether or not, whatever happens, that's a good team. That team deserves to be here. That's all we want.
Tomorrow there will be a general media day at University of Phoenix Stadium, where everyone on each team's roster will be there for some player press conferences and a chance to talk with people of the media.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet. We're going to be able to go out there and grab the guys who weren't like the mainstream players who were set up for the press conferences over the last couple of days. So if you check out our website over the next couple of days, we will be putting up those quotes and stories from those other players that you might not hear about so much. The regular guys, the offensive linemen, some of the defensive guys. The
guys that really make things work.
Yeah, exactly. The guys behind the scenes that aren't the stars. And we're going to bring you some of those stories this week.
Now, one of the questions that everybody's wondering is, will Ian Johnson be able to perform like he did all season, playing against a big-time rush defense, a Big 12 rush defense, which everybody knows the Big 12 is all about the run game. So this Oklahoma team has seen it plenty of times before. Now, Ian had a kind of a slow finish to the year with the injury at San Jose State, but he did bounce back for 147 rushing yards against Nevada. And a lot of people feel that the offensive line of Boise State is the best that we've ever had. And there's a good chance that they will be able to compete with this Sooner defense.
Yeah, but that Sooner defensive line is probably the best one that they've possibly ever seen. I mean, they're big guys, they're strong, they're fast, they're tall, they're athletic. They're pretty much the best defense that these guys are going to see all year, maybe for their entire careers in college, is this Oklahoma team. So Ian's ability to run is going to be, put into question. It's going to be tested to, its full mettle. And whether or not this offensive line for the Broncos, it's proved itself over and over again this year, but they've got to do it again. They've got one more game where they have to, buckle down and plow down some holes and give Ian what he really needs. Because if he doesn't run, then the Broncos won't run, and they don't stand much of a chance.
And the one thing that I think is going to be even more critical is going to be the passing game. As I talked with some of the defensive players, like linebacker Rufus Alexander for the Sooners, and talked about the fact that the Broncos don't have that one go-to receiver. They have 3 or 4 guys all around 34, 32, 30 catches on the season, and it can help the Broncos in the sense that they don't have to rely on one big-time receiver having a great game. But on the other hand, there is going to have to be somebody to step up, and I personally feel a person like Legadou Nene is one of the classic candidates for coming out and having this big game. He has continually gotten better as the year went on, game by game. And, by the end of the year, he was an all-WAC performer.
Yeah.
And I think Coach Pete even reiterated that he's one of those guys that Bronco fans could look for to have a big day on Monday.
Yeah, and one of the major fears, it seemed like, of the Oklahoma staff was Jared Zabransky and his ability to run. We talked about this all year long, how he creates opportunities by getting out of the pocket, and it helps him to, to run, to get outside, pick up first downs. But they also said that he's one of those run-to-throw guys, to where he gets out of the pocket, not so much to go and pick up 3 or 4 yards or to get those first downs, but he gets out of the pocket, and his receivers adjust their routes so that they kind of work together. They have it planned out beforehand. It's not like they're just making stuff up as they go. They actually have these route keys built into their offense, to where when Zabransky rolls out, the other receivers adjust their routes, and that's when they make their biggest plays, is when he's out on the edge. And Oklahoma's going to try and stop that. They're going to try and contain him in the pocket. They're going to put tons of pressure on him. You're going to see major blitz packages, and the Broncos just have to pick it up.
Now, one of the players that Boise State will not be utilizing on Monday is senior tight end Jared Hunter. Jared had some undisclosed team violations the other night and was actually sent home. The senior tight end, as I said, was 3rd on the depth chart, but he was used quite often in packages because, as Coach Peterson, the offensive coordinator Brian Harsin, tend to do is use these guys in multiple positions. They don't like players that are one-dimensional and only good for one thing. They like their tight ends to be able to play a little fullback, their fullbacks to be able to play a little tight end, their running backs to be able to play a little wide receiver, and bring the wide receivers out for some reverses and some carries themselves. And so,
yeah, and Hunter's one of those guys that'll come in on those big jumbo packages where they put in 2 or 3 tight ends and a lead blocker or whatever. He's one of those guys that's in on that package, on that wonderful run play, the old counter trade that they ran all season just to pick up those 1 or 2 yard, down in distances where they really needed to play, and he's not going to be there.
We'll be back tomorrow with coverage from the Media Day. Let's go ahead and send it back to you, Drew.
Thanks, guys. We'll be looking forward to that report tomorrow. To hear more in-depth analysis from Jake and Dustin, download their latest podcast, Arbiter Sports Talk.
Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Out of the Blue. Thanks, and have a great night.